Welcome back to my Final Fantasy XIV drama series. Today's drama story is about Angie's fragile ego. If you enjoy these kinds of videos, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. I met Angie through friends as we had a few in common, and we were introduced randomly when they appeared in Limsa one day. I invited them to my FC because they had none, and we gathered around the downstairs bath area in the FC house with anyone who wanted to loiter and chat. This was FC members or people from my Discord server who I was maybe in call with at the time. Angie was trans and never wanted to join voice chat, I think for that reason, which was perfectly fine by me, whatever makes them comfortable. So we typed in say chat while enjoying the bath and the ambience of the room. During this time, I think the first time they ever hung out with my own friends that we did not have in common, Angie was sharing their life story with us. Their story followed the lines of being in an ongoing abusive relationship IRL for many years, their terrible parents, and also their problems with being trans in this world. As most of us know, trans people do meet a lot of resistance from normies, so we all intently listened and tried to validate them, even though the topic got quite dark unexpectedly. Yeah, that's a lot to hear probably in one go. For me, as someone who at the time had countless issues of my own, it was quite difficult to listen to, but I did it for their sake. Myself and friends were trying to console them for many hours into the night. And afterwards, when we all went to bed and parted ways, things were quite fine. The issue started maybe a day or two later when Angie was praising me for my gentleness and how different I was from most people. They told me that I could always be honest with them, and that they preferred brutal honesty, if anything. They basically encouraged me to be open and honest. I made the mistake of taking that literally, and told them that the dark stories they spoke to me and my pals the other day was very difficult to listen to, and it felt quite bad. This prompted Angie to instantly turn on me. They accused me of being a faker or pretending to be this mommy figure that I clearly was not. They even went so far as to act like I had committed something terrible and was to stay away from them forever. They then proceeded to go to anyone who would listen, which were some of my closest friends, and begin bleeding their heart out to them about how awful I was. Keep in mind, during this time I did not really speak about it. I did not even spend one moment bad-mouthing them to anyone. I just waited while they went from friend to friend at the speed of light, saying God knows what about me. Naturally, this tore a rift between me and my friends, as I was pretty insulted that they would listen to Angie's complaints and seem to side with them, while leaving me alone to contemplate how one sentence can twist an entire conversation so rapidly, to feel bad and question myself. I blocked Angie, and I tried to move on, but day after day, they kept acting like I was just the worst person on earth. I tried to explain to friends. I tried to mitigate the situation, but I was unable to do anything. Everyone had heard Angie's side of the story and were not interested in consoling me at all. The pressure of it all was so much that I ended up cutting all these friends out. I kicked them all from the FC and fortified myself with those who were not really willing to listen to their slander. It was a pretty bad time, and sometime later, for other additional reasons, I ended up leaving the DC and going to another. I just ran away from all the drama and the problems. I really doubt I could have done anything to mitigate them anyway. I started again on another server, new name, new FC, new friends, new everything. Well, Angie followed me and infiltrated my new FC on a secret alt. They spent time watching me, just looking for something to gossip about, I think. But as I was my wholesome and helpful self, I think they were just disappointed in some way. I found them one day in Limsa quietly standing around and asked what's up since they seemed upset. They told me then that they did not wish to let me know who they were, but that they were from before and felt lost now that they didn't discover this terrible monster plaguing yet another server, but just a helpful autistic mentor trying their best to do well. It helped them move on apparently, and they were now deleting this alt and going away. I should have just let them go, but I was so curious who they could be that I spent some hours chatting with them. This was again a very dark and difficult conversation where they spent most of their time telling me that I have darkness inside of me that I am unwilling to see. They said that everyone else sees it also, but I refuse to see it apparently. Projecting much? I eventually just got fed up, reported them for stalking and harassment, and logged out. I thought that was the end of it. I really did. However, about a year later, I found out that they had been putting an immense effort to slander my name. I wonder who it is. Is this Angie still? I wonder if they ever found out who it was. I was part of this Discord where I wasn't really supposed to share anything we discussed there. Angie also joined the Discord and started telling everybody that I had told them this and that from the Discord, and they were basically trying to dirty my name in the entire community. Eventually, it became clear that they were just making these things up, and the real person who gave the info came to light. It actually resulted in the Discord falling apart completely once that secrecy was broken. At least the people knew at the end that I never said a word, but it was so uncomfortable knowing how far Angie was willing to go over one badly worded sentence years ago. It's bizarre how a person can push their agenda on another and do all these awful things just to make themselves seem like a better person. It disgusts me, and honestly, I am still afraid of them surfacing from the deep, dark dredges of Limsa to preach their dark sentiments. The end. I'm guessing that the person on the alt was Angie then. I wonder if the OP ever figured it out, because it wasn't really said in the story. I think that they think it's Angie. The OP is very convinced that Angie hates them so much that they're willing to go to that extent. And maybe it was quite obvious that that is the only person that hated her at the time to even make an alt and go all the way there to bother her. That's insane. If someone already moves out of the server and they want to stay away from you, it's kind of crazy that someone who was willing to go all the way to the other server to harass them still. The reason why the OP knew it was someone from the other server, because they clearly said so. I am someone from before. And then they talked about a lot of dark things. And that person said that everyone thinks you're like this, so therefore you're like this. It's always so mean to say that too, right? Like when someone uses that line, everyone thinks you're like this. It feels like everyone's against you, which is whenever someone uses that line, they do want to make you feel bad. Definitely. I don't even know what to say about this one. I know it was pretty intense. You know, sometimes in the comments of my YouTubes, I will read comments of people saying, no, I have to hear the other side of the story. I get that there's always more than one side of the story. And some people in the comments believe that there's more to the story that the OP's not saying. But I also do think that sometimes there are very crazy people out there. And even for a small thing, they can go this far. Yeah, sometimes there's more to it, for sure. But sometimes I do think that there are people who go crazy over one little thing. Do you mean in Final Fantasy XIV or in other games for harassment? In Final Fantasy XIV, like what has someone done to you which you found really annoying to the point that you reported them for harassment? I've never reported someone for harassment, but it's so obvious when like you don't like someone in the game and they know you don't like them and they approach your character and try and bother your character. They like, I've seen that happen to me. They're just like hovering around my character, or like when I'm clearly talking to a friend, they'll like approach my friend and like hug my friend and then like leave just to like rub it in my face. I hugged your friend. I find it more funny than anything. But it's funny how they'll go down to that level. It's like, yes, I know, I see you there. I've never reported anyone for harassment though. A stalker is mostly not the good guy in the story. Yeah, like they clearly made the effort to go all the way there and bother them. I honestly understand where the trans person is coming from. They're struggling a lot and could easily take it out on someone else. Yeah, people, I mean, here's the thing. Everyone's going through some sort of personal issues, or, you know, everyone has their own issues that they're dealing with. It doesn't make it an excuse to, like, bother someone, because everyone's dealing with their own stuff. There are just psychos out there. Plain and simple. Penguin with the summarize and everything. The biggest problem is that the person who tells the story first has the most control. That's definitely true. That is the case with everything, right? Like, whenever someone, even a friend, tells you a story, you see it through their perspective. And of course, it doesn't make them look like the worst person in the world. Of course, there are times where, like, they didn't do anything wrong, or there are times that they did some things wrong, and there's times they did a lot of things wrong. And it's up to them how honest they are when it comes to telling the stories. Sometimes they can see your friends on their... Oh, yeah! Yeah, Final Fantasy XIV has a bad system right now where it's so easy to stalk, like, friends. Be very careful who you add to your friends list in this game. Because they could turn out to be psychos that stalk you and follow you to another server. That is the worst thing. So it's like when you delete them off your list, they still see you. Unfortunately. You can't get away. How about if you change to a different data center and then change your name? Doesn't that show up as like data cannot be retrieved? Maybe like that's the only way you can truly run away from them and then come back to the same server. I think, but I'm not sure because I've never done it, and I don't want to waste all that money just to like... It seems so silly to like spend that money to change server, spend the money to change your name, when there could just be a simple solution that Square Enix could be like, if I delete someone, they should also have me removed on their list. Yeah, 60 bucks to tell someone to fuck off. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this Final Fantasy XIV drama story. If you have any of your own drama stories that you'd like me to share and read out anonymously, feel free to reach out to my Discord, discord.gg/Pathra. And if you would like to support the content by tipping, feel free to join and become a YouTube member with some perks. Slut era, they whisper while disrobing in a critically acclaimed, massively multiplayer online role-playing game.